welcome to the presentation of my book Agtim, the contact with the reality of the body and the 5 pillars of health. Thank you for your attendance and interest. In reflection of the addictions to the toxins and beliefs, I am going to sing the following adaptation of Puccini's famous aria. Through this book, I have wanted to express the work of more than 30 years of experimentation and accomplishments in the way of health, as well as the personal release to reach a state of health in constant improvement, reaching what I call the super health and super vitality without stimulating substances. That's possible. I present the formula of health in constant improvement, which allow us to know and integrate natural law from the body. I have achieved and I continue to achieve it through keeping the action held over time, which means the inflexible attempt to approach the perfect anatomical shape with appropriate information, actions, and detoxify. With it, I have broken hundreds of vicious circles from my interior that have been released and have been taught to me the importance and depth of the natural law and how to break the rules of the natural law, furthering one from the being, affecting the quality of life and the body away from perfect anatomical shape, so that one makes the changes and one is impregnated with that learning at some point in time. But what is the perfect anatomical shape? that is the nature expressing itself in its maximum splendor in the beings, the expression of the symmetry and the fractality that's in all the nature. It is logically expressed also in the body through the manifestation of its symmetry and harmony. I can be checked on the body how much one approaches its perfect anatomical shape. Being in the standing position, when one joins both feet, then the big toes and the heels should be touching each other. Also the internal malleoli, the high part of the calves, the internal face of the knees, the high part of the thighs without any kind of effort, and the palms of the hands are looking forward, the clavicles in horizontal position, the head centered on the shoulders, the half of the forehead, half of the chin in a perpendicular line in relation to the ground that coincides with half of the navel, half of the pubis, and between the two legs. If one gets out of there, it is that one has shortenings. The back should be shown flat between shoulder blades, without unnecessary reliefs. There are no wrinkled lines or marks of the spine on either side of the column, neither vertical nor horizontal in the back. The shoulders and hips are proportionated to each other. In the long run, these deformities are going to give all kinds of problems. It is observed on the backs of these swimmers as they are totally disproportionate, as they are wider than the hips and they show all kinds of reliefs and anatomical deformation, as the shoulder blades protrude, as the colon is marked and as shows areas of cuts. What is natural law? One does not steal, one does not kill anyone or oneself, one does not lie or harm in any way any being or oneself, one respects life in all its manifestation, one wish for others the best that one would wish for oneself. Who needs law with the tremendous law that one has? The natural law. Everything that has been done to others in the past, in the present, has been recorded and is recording in memory, whether we like it or not, in our bodily, cellular, muscular, and universal memory. Out of will, what has happened to us is to have experiences. The universe that knows itself through the experiences of being. Experiences, they give new information. They are fundamental to the perfection of the system. A system that is known through experiences. The more traumatic the experiences have been, the greater the burden of information they have. Our job is to process them and reconnect it to the base program that is enriched with them. Thanks to this reconnection, it recognizes the pain and the shortenings caused when it is discharged, and that information is held, knowing thus the limits of the natural law and how it affects transgressing it. After passing that process, the being is changed. The key to success is to walk steadily through the transition to the perfect anatomical shape. The rest are illusions. Configure the body with its basic program of connecting the source, connecting with the being who knows himself. We have a body full of information that can be processed. The body represents the manifestation of life that knows itself. There have been thousands of life experiences, and those experiences have been able to disconnect us from our own life source or have been able to connect us more. What has to be used to process that information is the body itself. Life and body are the expression of the generators within. Everything that happens to us acts like a mirror. What bothers us, what makes us unhappy, what moves away from the perfect anatomical shape, shows the active generators inside. They can be deactivated. Life is an abundance of resources, vitality, creativity, generosity, and joy. Live knowing itself. Two types of currents, two types of dynamics. The binding current of being. They are habits that link more to being, habits that bring us closer to the perfect anatomical shape, habits that bring about a free, prosperous, and innocent society. The disconnecting current of being, they are habits that disassociate one's being more, habits away from the perfect anatomical shape, habits away from free, prosperous, and innocent society. Get out of the world of illusion. One has the belief that one is free. There's a belief that one is healthy. It is believed that the ailments of old age are normal. Believe that it is necessary to do sport to be in shape, for example. A normal being has to pay for everything and has nothing. That is why he pays to receive his own inheritance, to live in his own house, to have his own car for water. Is that freedom? Are all these beliefs true? Reality generators, the traumatic unprocessed experiences, create installations inside. They are like software. They are generators of that experiences that cause shortening and intoxication in the body. They cause the repetition of the traumatic experience with a loop repeat until the trauma information is downloaded and processed. They are authentic black holes with a singularity at the center, where the traumatic emotion is manifested with full intensity. They're in the body's memories, more traumatic, more buried in the body. What departs from the perfect anatomical shape? Get away from the natural law. The muscular shortenings studied in the body implicate that a muscle pulls one zone and that of another and that of another within the body. Traumatic reality generators create shortenings, fears, anxieties. Muscle chains implicate too much strength in some muscle or muscle fibers and weakness and annulation of other muscles. The deposits of toxins produce deformation, moving the body away from the perfect anatomical shape. In society, a tyrant who is oppressed in himself oppresses another, who oppresses another, who oppresses another, until he reaches the last slave who can no longer. The hierarchies, any kind of oppression, any kind of feeling and belief of being superior to others, any limitation of the greatness of being, any fear in society reflects toxins. The real liberation of humanity, the unknown universe has become known. The unconscious is the body. Body is equal to information, keys, manifestation of nature with all its quality. Body represents intoxication, shortening, moving away from the perfect anatomical shape, moving away from the constantly improving state. The personal work each in each body is unique, contain a unique organization that each one has to unravel and become conscious to integrate into the known universe, where for detoxification and muscle lengthening should be something basic, fundamental in our life, given the state in which it is. The rest will come along, the rest liberation of humanity. The importance of doing the job. One lives in a society that is sick, fruit of the reflection of the illness in each one, each generation that does not do a job to configure the body with its base program of connection to the source, move away from the base program, so that generation is farther away from the source or farther away from the connection of being. In general, there is no such type of query or integrated consciousness in families at the moment. That's why what happened. Society detached from being. For someone who is able to see through the structure of the body, which all that it expresses, it becomes evident that a lot of work is needed to recover the health of society. One is already born ill. Even if some tests say that one is healthy, one has a minimum health to get rid of. Then all sorts of things happen to get worse and worse. Vaccines, erroneous nutrition, military education, slavery, obligatory education, habits and feed the current that disconnects from being. The result is catastrophic. With 18 years, can have already completely installed configurations in the body that predict a life of considerable pain, frustration, and worsening. A society full of habits that detach from being, institutionalized alcoholism, drugs of all kinds institutionalized under the excuse that they help cure diseases. Completely lack of connection to the body, lack of awareness of the information given by the body and how to manage it, lack of control over one's own health, the culture of being a flock of sheep, institutionalized fears, belief in deficiencies of all kinds. A free society is necessary. Each of the components of that society in the perfect anatomical position. The transition to a free society is liberated from any system under natural law only to work each one to approach the perfect anatomical position. The natural law gives us connection with being. The base program does its work alone. As it is inside, it's outside. If within one there is only theory, to be in the mind, to be away from the body, it reflects in society, has the effect of more slavery. If inside one there is fight against the system, the more the system is hooked to one. Every time one fights a shortening, it intensifies to have inside a tremendous network of shortenings, in society a tremendous network of limitations. Within fears, active miseries, society with fears, miseries, which eagerness to control the dominant system. The dimensions are very important. From the second to the I don't know what dimension. And integrates the perfect anatomical shape until 100%. The perfection of the connection will be with being. Further down in the dimensions, more diseases, misery, depredation, sadness, despondency, depression, intoxication, shortening, disconnection from the body. Higher in dimensions, more integration and disappearance of all diseases that may be buried, more bliss, vitality, ideal length, and detoxification. This is an exciting and revolutionary book. The true revolution consists in coming out of the second and third dimension, coming out of hell, accessing higher dimension, so that humanity is truly freed from the yoke of its internal and external slavery. This is possible. It unveils the whys and wherefores of the energetic loops humanity and how to get out of them. The big lies about doing sport and the false belief that is good for health. In the second and third dimension is immersed the majority of the population, monarchies, religious leaders, governments. That is to say, in the current unbinding of the being, that is to say, in the disconnection of the information that gives the body and how to turn it around. Get that slap off one now. Find out why. One doesn't have to walk or run or go to the gym to get in shape. Discover what a sport keeps the second and the third dimension stagnant and keeps society stagnant in slavery. It's a totally new book, the first book in history that connects the natural law with muscular shortening, with the perfect anatomical shape, with the degree of intoxication that one has, and the current that being or disconnecting from being, with the real release from humanity. One cannot pretend to have access to a life that expresses in its fullness the natural law without doing a work of liberation from the muscular chains and detoxification that reflect tyranny and slavery outside. Muscle chains, shortening muscle, pull other muscle in chain, causing disharmony in the body, and processes experiences without reconnecting to the base program, create shortenings. There are 5 elements that help the binding current of being, that potentiate and activate it. The 5 pillars that help in the transition toward the perfect anatomical shape, towards the real revelation of humanity. There are some anatomical realities. When the legs are open more than 45 degrees, the lumbar zone is compressed. When the arms are raised more than 19 degrees in relation, 90 degrees in relation to the body, the lumbar zone is compressed. When lying face down, the psychological curves are reversed. It's not good. The head is not prepared to support the weight of the body. With Agtim, a fantastic method, they have more than 610 different sessions that give new information to the body, 2 hours of work per week, 2 hours to connect to the body, 2 hours to try, 2 hours sewing smoothly the shortening and pains of the body for annoyance of the mind, the healing of being and therefore of the body. Leaving the comfort zone, allow the body to undo the knots and shortenings it has done through our lives. When one begins to work of reversing the impulse of the disconnecting current, then one understands from the body why doing sport is a big scam for health and so many other things. Here comes the real revelation discovered by oneself. Doing sport, even if it's soft, moves away to the being in the perfect anatomical position. Understanding the keys to why sport, yoga, blah blah blah, and other alternatives therapies keeps you locked up in the second and third dimension. Discover explanation and why. Better to know the shortness of the body and transcend them by giving them other information. If one is one of those who thinks, I work from the time I get up until I go to bed and I feel guilty because I haven't gone to walk. One can now free oneself from the guilt or not having gone to walk and from those damaging preconceptions and know why they are harmful. Repeating movements is like an insult to the body. Over and over again is like crushing, like torture, as well as an underwhelmment of the wonderful qualities of the body, because it is believed that he does not know how to reach his perfect anatomical form. Loss of creativity, stay in the comfort zone of the shortenings, complete ignorance about the ideal length of each muscle, cover up extreme internal anxiety stage. It's like a drug to escape from the reality of the body. Is the world of the illusion. They create stimulating substance, dopamine, adrenaline gives sensation of well-being. It's the world of illusion. Is under the influence of drugs created by the body. The reality is that the body has worsened, is a little shorter, farther away from the perfect anatomical position, more exhausted. The same is walking with hairs, platforms, narrow shoes that have nothing to do with the anatomical shape of the foot, give misinformation to the body, or tight clothing, wear corsets, limit breathing capacity away from the perfect anatomical shape or contact with being. Do the sport every day shorter, every day with more chance of injury, every day more shrinking, every day with less respiratory capacity, more and more disconnecting from the body and the being, every day living more out of reality, every day farther away from the opportunities to reach the dreams, longings, and most intimate desires. Make Agtim every day longer, every day with more opportunities to be cured of all the illness that one carries inside. Every day with better breathing capacity, every day knowing more about the body and understanding the whys of life experiences. Every day more connected with being, every day approaching the realization of dreams, desire, and most intimate desires. The closer one gets from the perfect form, the more reality is generated. The body is the most perfect reality generator there is. It's necessary to lose their first. It has already been seen where if leads to one what it knows, and where it has led to many what it knows. It's time for internal change. It's time to face what's inside one. What stands between one and its interior is oneself. There's no excuse. The excuses are the resistance to change, the fruits of parasites and the muscular accommodations of the comfort zone. In my book, they are testimonials, real case. As Agtim has helped to improve many beings in many cases. They talk about how they were liberated from many pains, from many rigidities, from aesthetic improvements, from how they have approached their perfect anatomical position, from how their vitality has improved, then so-called miracles taking place. The second pillar is the detoxification through the macrosless diet healing system. I recommend it, learn about this. There are many books. The third pillar is very important, is the external detoxification through sauna, ionic detoxification, thermal waters and other assistance. It's very, very important. The fourth pillar is the introspection to discover the generators of reality, to pull the three. Is detect the evasive thoughts, discard them, attentive to the body signal, is to use questions. In the question goes implicit the answer. As one detoxifies, one is more and easier to reach the state no thought, more peace. There are a balance between inward and outward attention. Every moment, an opportunity to feel inner peace, to do introspection or anything that disturbs one. Peace of mind all day. Breathing with Agtim and all helpers becomes deeper, wider, longer, natural apneas. And the fifth pillar, a lot of patience, confidence in the healing power of one's own body, perseverance, courage, energy, inflexible attempt. The 5 pillars interact with each other, change the personal configuration, needs all these helpers, and can be achieved. The difficulties for success. They are ingrained habits, they are parasitation, they are fears, generator of stagnation, the impulses of death, all the traumatic experiences, all promise of allegiance, intoxication of the body. The great challenge, knowing that one faces the depth of their unconscious. One can only walk and enjoy the journey to the perfect anatomical shape. Give oneself the opportunity to improve and be happy. Just be walking through the transition to the perfect anatomical shape are all advantages. Start enjoying every moment of that exciting journey. The rest will come without effort. It's best to start now. The point of no return is there, closer than one thinks. In reflection of the inner beauty, of the inner dark impulses, and of the luminous ones, how the darkness hides before the light, because when the light is so, the darkness disappears. I think thank you. I'm Raquel Escobar, the writer of Acting Contact with the Reality of the Body and the Five Pillars of Hell, designer and facilitator of the session of acting, creator of the nation Magtag, impeller of the liberation of beings to live in a society based on natural law. Kiss.